Hello everyone and welcome into the channel. My name is Brent and in today's video we are going to go ahead and cover calculating your net worth. We're going to go back to the basics here in this video and be coming out with some new content that is going to be for the early entry, starting a budget, getting your net worth, getting started investing. If you guys have any specific questions, let me know down in the comment section below and we'll go ahead and address them in the future. But this will essentially be a step-by-step guide to understanding and growing your net worth. I'm going to go ahead and cover a few different areas in today's video. Number one, what exactly is net worth? Number two, we'll go ahead and go over my net worth story, my initial net worth story back in 2013, as it's kind of an interesting one that a lot of service members go through, but I'll go ahead and share a little bit of mine. Then we'll go ahead and go into how to calculate your net worth and what exactly are your assets. We'll go into some websites that you can use to track your net worth and some that I use myself. Next, we'll go ahead and go over some areas that you can use to calculate your liabilities. And then we'll go into the financial formula needed to track your net worth. Take your assets, take your liabilities, and then you're able to add them together and you get your net worth, right? We'll go ahead and cover that. We'll go over some examples of a 20-year-old's net worth, a 30, 40-year-old's net worth, and I believe a 50-year-old's net worth. I'll have to see what I put in there. We'll go over some ways to improve your net worth if it's something you're wanting to do. I do have some ideas to set up some goals. So if it is something you're working towards, I'll go ahead and discuss some ways to set up some financial goals. And then at the very end, we'll go ahead and go over a challenge for the very end. If you guys would like to share your challenge, you guys can drop it in the comment section down below. But otherwise, that's what we're going to go ahead and cover in today's video. So if you guys are brand new here to the channel, definitely go down below and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, you guys can hit the bell to be notified every time we release a brand new video, and also give this video a thumbs up, would be highly appreciated. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video. What exactly is net worth, right? What's the first thing? What it is it's simply the difference between your assets, which are appreciating in value, what somebody would pay you, what not everything is an asset. It's only worth as somebody else would pay you for it, right? And then your liabilities are the negative, the retractors, the depreciating things that are taking money out of your bank account. And a deeper dive, I did go ahead and go over into more detail on an article I posted over on my website, Investing on the Go. If you guys would like to check it out, scan the QR code. Otherwise, the key takeaways of what exactly is net worth is essentially just your assets that are your savings, your investments, your physical silver, platinum, gold, those things, real estate, anything of value that somebody else would pay you. Right? If I hold up something like a random item that has no value, no one's going to want to buy my trash. So it has no value to it. It's just kind of, not a liability, right? And then you have your liabilities, your debts, your loans, your mortgages, your credit cards, things that are taking money away from your bank account, cars and such, right? That's considered a loan. And then you have your insurance that you have to pay on the car. And that's just all taking money out of your bank account. So that is overall the net worth. Now, I want to go ahead and go over a little bit of a backstory to my net worth. I left the military back in 2013. I had roughly $100,000 to my name, but I was very financially savvy throughout my military career. I was investing in my thrift savings plan. I was saving, and I didn't have a high yield savings account in the past. But I did have a savings account that I tried to get as much interest and invested a bit along the way. And I had been tracking my net worth, knowing that there is a specific date that I will eventually be getting out of the military. And that happened to be in 2013 at the age of 28. And when I got out, I was stationed in Japan. Prior to that, I was in Germany. And in my whole career, I owned no car, no house, none of that. So when I transitioned back to the States, all I had was $100,000 in my bank account, and I had to buy a car, which at the time I was still transitioning from the military to civilian. So I was working for the government. I still had a stable job for the 60 days that I was on PTO. So I was able to go into the dealership, get a car because I had income showing, right? and I got a Honda, which with the car, I was able to then get interviews. I was able to move around, which helped me land a job. And then with that job, I had to show signs that I was getting steadily paid. And then while I arrived in April of 2013, I got into my very first house in October of 2013. So it did take quite a bit of time, and I had been saving my capital in my while I was in the military, and I had $100,000 to my name. Some of that was used towards the car. Some of that was used as the down payment on the house. That house then, at that point, is kind of like a starting point to help me build up my net worth, showing that that was an appreciating asset, and that helped jumpstart my then net worth from 2013, and then getting into real estate pretty early on, understanding that it benefited me. I continued to buy more real estate around 2018 and 2019, investing more in the market, and that overall just helped me balloon my net worth over the last few years. So this is why calculating your net worth is more than just a number. It's a financial roadmap that can shape your future decisions. So at the time getting out, just kind of knowing what it was and knowing that I had something kind of fall back on really helped out. But a lot of people don't have that. So we're going to go ahead and calculate your assets. What exactly are assets? These are anything within your bank accounts that's positive, right? Any sort of your investments, your stocks, your physical silver and gold, which we covered a video on how I recently sold all my physical silver after I hit that $34 high. Any sort of savings bonds. I did make a video in the past where when I was getting into real estate, I had tons of bonds that I sold out of. So I sold out of all my bonds. I sold out of all my silver. I do have crypto, but the platform that I had it on was Voyager, which bankrupted. So that sucked, but that was kind of a lost cause. And retirement accounts. So I'm not talking about me. We're talking about what are investments. Real estate, any sort of real estate that has property value. If you have something that's completely junked up, it may not have value itself, the property, but the land could have value. That could be value of area vehicles if they hold resale value, right? If somebody doesn't want to buy your vehicle, it's not going to be able to be used as an asset. And sometimes people would say that the vehicles themselves are an asset, but if you hold them, it's a kind of a liability in a way, because you're paying insurance on a monthly basis, right? You got to have that stuff. Any sort of valuables of personal arts, personal items such as art, jewelry, collectibles. A lot of people like to collect jewelry and art as valuable possessions, but that goes back, Pokemon cards right now. There was someone that I was listening to on one of the channels there that had bought up like $12,000 or $24,000 of Pokemon cards, and their wife was not having it with him. So if you buy items, it's got to have a resale value that somebody else would want to buy it from you to be considered an asset. If it's something that's, you buy something that no one's going to ever want to buy, it doesn't hold any resale value, it's not an asset. It's a depreciating item. It's a liability. Some of the useful websites I use for tracking my own net worth are SoFi Relay, which you can go ahead and add in your accounts then there, and I use Wealthfront as well, as both of them have pretty good different programs. There's many of them out there. If you guys have any specific websites that you use that are free, let me know down in the comment section below. I'm always looking for different websites and tools that are free to use, as some of them that I've looked into the past, they require, Mint used to be free, but they don't have it anymore. So this is just a quick snapshot of what SoFi Relay has. It goes in there, it shows your net worth, it shows how many cash accounts you have, credit card accounts, loans, investments, properties, vehicles that you have within your account. It shows your top category as far as where you're spending your money at, other recategorized items and such you're spending for the month, any sort of debt that you currently have on your credit cards, or just in general in terms of loans and what your credit score is. I thought, an investment. So it's a very all-in-one platform where if you look at SoFi Relay, you can see everything really easy, your total net worth, where everything's at, even your spending, even your credit score. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So I went ahead and wanted to kind of showcase a little bit of that. And now we're going to go ahead and cover some of the liabilities. What are liabilities, right? Anything that takes money out of your bank account. These are your mortgages or rent payments. Is rent considered burning money? I kind of added that in there. I don't know. Kind of controversial. Some people don't consider renting to be bad because it's better sometimes than buying, right? It's different. Car loans, as we kind of discussed, car loans are taking money out of your pocket. You're also paying on insurance. So while the car itself might be some sort of a asset, it's still a liability in a way because it's taking money out of your bank account. Student loans, big liabilities right there. Credit card balances with 20 to 30% interest rates, or any sort of credit card. There's no credit card out there that has less than a 10% interest rate out there. So any sort of credit card balance that you're not paying off on a month-to-month basis should be a priority, as these things can quickly take over any sort of investment that you may have. They'll quickly nullify any of those gains, right? So that's got to get knocked out, and any other type of outstanding debts that you may have. So we're going to go ahead and go over some net worth calculations. These are a few examples here. We're basically taking all the assets that the individual has and then all of their liabilities. We're going to go ahead and cover just a few examples here, starting as somebody in their early 20s. Somebody in their early 20s could have $5,000 in their saving account. They could be having a job that they've had since, they were 16, 18 years old, and now they've begun to put it in there. They have roughly $10,000 in their 401k. They bought a car that aftermarket, it's worth about $8,000 on Blue Book, it is, right? They have some personal items as well, some electronics such as computer, some furniture, etc. That's about $2,000. So their total assets there, as you can kind of calculate there, is what, it's I didn't put the percentage in there, 25,000, right? And then they have liabilities. As we said, they're in their early 20s. They went off to college. They got student loan debt of $15,000. They got a car loan on that car that's $6,000, and they have a credit card balance that's reoccurring of $2,000. So here we have net worth added up. So they have $25 of net worth, but they have $23,000 of liabilities. So their total net worth in their early 20s is roughly $2,000. In the next example here, we're going to somebody in their 40s. Okay, this is like mid-level career now. They have assets that have been appreciating and growing, such as their 401ks, their investment accounts, right? They bought a home. They got some home equity, right? They bought a $500,000 home. They put 20% down or more. They put $150, 20%, whatever, and they have some equity built in over it appreciated, so they have a home equity of $150,000. They have some savings sitting in a high yield savings account of $30,000. They have a 401k that they've had at a job for the last 10 or so years that's grown to $120,000. Other investments include stocks, bonds of $50,000. They have a car or maybe two cars there, right? That's worth $15,000, and they have some personal items as well around the house that they could sell for potentially $10,000. But that mortgage balance is still eating away at them with $100,000. They do have a car loan still of $10,000, and they have credit card debt of $5,000. So we can see that this individual is a little bit better off, right? They paid off that student loan. They continue to have those car loans, but then they have a mortgage balance, but they still have better assets. So here we can see that their assets are $375,000 versus their liabilities are only $115,000, making that they have a net worth of $260,000. So they're slowly growing. They worked from their 20s into their 40s, kind of building up their career, and you can see it's well paying off. They were able to increase from a net worth of $2,000 to $260,000. So now we're in our 50s. We're kind of hitting pre-retirement. We're starting to add a little bit more money into our retirement accounts. Our home has been paid off just a little bit more towards that 30-year loan, and it's also appreciated a bit in that time. The home equity is now $250,000 of equity. We still have some, 6-month to a year emergency fund sitting in our savings of $50,000. Our 401k has continued to grow, right, at that 7%, 10% rate per year on average. So it's increased over that 10, 20-year period here. 10-year period, right? And every 10 years, your investments generally kind of double just because of that rate of return. So our 401k is now $300,000. Our other investments are 150. Our car value is 20,000, and our personal items are 15,000. We still continue to have that mortgage balance, but it's been paying off slowly, right? We only have a balance now of 50,000. Our car loan is only 5,000, and we have reoccurring credit card debt, but we pay it off on a monthly basis. But for this right now, it's only 2,000 at the moment, which will be paid off by the end of the month. So we have a net worth of 785,000, and we have liabilities of 75,000. 57,000. I had to rethink that. 57,000, meaning that our total net worth here in our 50s is $720,000. Now, it's not all very liquid yet, but as we come to age, the 401k could be rolled over into our investment, an IRA, Roth IRA. That would be a good time to be looking at potentially rolling that over into these retirement accounts that are, a little bit better toward the end of the year, towards the end of your 50s, 60s, than a 401k, right? So that's how to get your assets. What are assets? What are some liabilities? And some examples of calculating that specific, that total net worth number, right? So we'll go ahead and cover some ways to improve your overall net worth. You got to increase your assets. That's the main thing you got to do. Definitely pay off any sort of high interest loans. So ways that you can increase your assets is invest in stocks, ETFs, index funds. I have links in the comment section to get started, depending on whatever platform you're looking for. There's a ton of platforms out there that weren't around in the old days, right? Back in the day, there weren't a lot of platforms that you could really invest in without being charged an arm and a leg for every time you bought. But in today's market, there's tons of platforms, and they even pay you to get started on their platform, such as SoFi, Public, Robinhood, M1 Finance, Moomoo, Webull, the list goes on and on. But I do have links down in the description down below if you want to get started in any of them. You can also definitely begin to save in not just a regular checking account over at Chase or whatever platform out there. Make sure you're starting one with a high yield savings account. There's a lot of platforms out there, such as SoFi. That's my preferred platform just because you're able to do both your checking and savings on the platform. You can move your money very quickly on the same day. And then if you get paid in a checking account, you can move it to the savings to get a 3.8% high yield savings rate. There's also Ally. Ally has a $100 bonus, sign-up bonus right now if you're getting started with Ally. They also offer a 4% or 4.10% yield on them as well. But there's tons of other platforms such as Wealthfront, Marcus, a couple other ones that I can't think off the top of my head. You could also begin to start side hustles, right? YouTube's out there, websites, tons and tons of stuff. Those are the only two that I can name off the top of my head right now. Businesses such as real estate business, right? Also, you can reduce your liabilities. The number one thing you want to do before you do start investing in stock market, side hustles and stuff is knock off that high interest debt. Anything sitting on a credit card, personal loans that has a rate, I would say over 5%, needs to get paid off ASAP. Any sort of capital, any sort of gain that you would potentially get when you're getting started would be so minimal in comparison to that high interest debt that's built up against you, building up on a continuous basis, right? So credit cards, personal loans, that's got to get paid off first. Consider refinancing to, lower your interest rate. But for the time being, I don't believe it's really going to happen. I put that note in there. I was going to comment in red, but you could consider refinancing your mortgage for a better rate. The Fed's supposed to lower the interest rate by 0.5% by the end of the year. I'm not sure if that will happen, but we'll see. Even then, even if it goes down by 0.5%, it's really not worth it because when you refinance, you got to do fees and all that stuff. So oftentimes it's not really worth refinancing unless you're able to lower the rate by a few percentage points at a time. And then just avoid unnecessary expenses, right? Keep a list of what you need. If it's something that you just want, check with your income, check if it's, on your budget. Are you able to budget for it? Is it something that's going to detract from actually increasing your overall assets? Then it could just be something that you might want to put off for a bit. We also want to go ahead and set up some financial goals. The system that I like to use is the SMART system here. The SMART goal system is setting a specific target goal, right? Make it measurable for a specific period and achievable. Make it relevant to whatever you're setting it up for. In this case, you're wanting to build up your net worth to a specific time frame. So in this example, we want to go from, say, $10,000 to $50,000 of net worth. This isn't going to be realistic in, say, 1 year, but if you give yourself 5 years, right? 5 years to go from $10,000 to $50,000 is definitely doable. So set realistic and trackable milestones. An example of this that I can go ahead and go over is M1 Finance account. I started it with $0 back in 2018. I deposited $138.15 into it on a weekly basis. Week after week after week, I did it here on the channel. And guess that account is now at $60,000, not having touched it in the last 2 or so years, not having invested any additional capital in that account. It has continued to grow and grow and grow all by itself, not having to be touched any longer. So that is a definitely good example that can be used that I know is definitely doable. So next, we'll go into the challenge. If you guys would like to participate in the challenge, you can go ahead and calculate your own net worth today. Go ahead and get your assets, get your liabilities. You could drop a comment below if you have met or you have a specific financial goal you guys would like to set, and kind of write it down somewhere. And then question of the day. What is one thing that you're doing this year to grow your overall net worth? It could be setting up a budget to begin tracking your assets, your liabilities, your income, your outflow, your liabilities, right? It could be starting an investment account on a different platform because, whatever thing happened to the other platform. There's a ton of things that could be definitely working towards your overall net worth. Definitely let me know down in the comment section below. And if you did find this video helpful, definitely go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well, and share it if you have somebody who would like to take control of their financial future and all of that stuff. So I think that is going to be it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, again, go down below, give it a big old thumbs up, subscribe for additional financial tips. If you guys have any other specific topics that you guys would like to have discussed on the channel or going over, right, let me know down in the comment section below. Otherwise, that is going to be it from me. I do appreciate everyone for tuning in today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.